Buenos Aires, and welcome to this week's edition of Cultured Fools. Now, a bit of a change of pace this week. Instead of me talking about specific varietals from certain regions, or even telling you what you should and shouldn't worry about when it comes to drinking wine, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to be telling you a story. Yes, the wine industry is full of wonderful little stories, and this one is no different. So strap yourself in and prepare yourself for the judgment of Paris. The Judgment of Paris is one of those wine tales that is widely discussed in America. It's sort of massively suppressed in France, and it's kind of muted everywhere else. And there's very good reason for that. And before we get into the story, we have to remember where we're set. This is in 1976 in Paris, the sort of wine capital of the world. There is no real New World versus Old World. There is only Old World. Most of the French wine critics and wine snobs kind of take the piss out of Spanish and Mediterranean wines more than they do anywhere else. So the sort of elitism in wine existed within the Old World. To help me tell the story correctly, I need two small dogs. This is Lola, and down there somewhere is Leo. They'll be joining us today. So let's start with our hero, Stephen Spoirier, an Englishman living in France. He opens up a wine shop in 1971. After a couple of years of moderate success, he gets to acquire the building next door and creates France's first independent wine school. To help with the wine school, Spoirier enlisted the services of an American lady called Patricia Gallagher. Now, having an American-speaking wine school in the centre of Paris is pretty inviting for people from English-speaking countries, and more notably places like California, which was really booming in wine at the time. No one really knew much about them outside of California, but basically people, vintners and winemakers and wine experts and American writers would come through to the wine shop and the wine school, and through that Spoirier would be introduced to these new and wonderful American wines. It didn't take too long for Spoirier to become absolutely obsessed with these California wines, most notably the Cabernet Sauvignons and the Chardonnays, two incredibly important French wines. Sorry, I got rid of the dogs. They were annoying me and making too much noise, and they're on the balcony and currently staring at me, so it's a bit bad. In the latter part of 1975, Patricia had some holiday, and Stephen was like, well, go back to California, let's just check it out, let's just make sure that there's a fucking fly here now, fuck me dead. So she does, and then she comes back and she's losing her shit. She's like, man, that is crazy. We gotta be doing something about this. Spoirier is like, yo, I've got ya. Let me check the file of facts and get some people down here. So Spoirier basically decides to get a panel of 9 experts in France and to sit them around a table and put some wine in front of them from California and get to see what they think of it. After all, they are the experts in the centre of the wine universe. So he really wanted to know what they would, think. However, Stephen's mama didn't raise no fool, and a couple of weeks before the tasting, he was like, oh fuck, I'm dealing with French people. Double fuck, I'm dealing with wine French people. He knew that if he just put California wine, these young upstarts, in front of a bunch of French wine critics and experts, they'd just be like, go fuck yourself. What, California, where's that, north of Mexico? So, Stephen Spoirier has got 9 experts of the day. And I'm underplaying the word experts here. We're talking like the 1970s Brazil team of experts. These guys knew their fucking shit, yeah? An exceptional cast of characters that he's got to sit around a table. And what he does is get them to drink the Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon from California and compare them to the best Chardonnay, Burgundy, and Cabernet Sauvignon, Bordeaux, from France. Now, a blind tasting is pretty self-explanatory. What happens is all the bottles are in a brown paper bag, you pour out the glasses, everyone takes a sip and picks the one they want. And you'll never guess which one's won. Not only the white, but the red, from California. Literally, the best Burgundy and the best Bordeaux was compared to these tiny little runts over the pond who were meaningless blobs in the faraway flung part of the universe as far as they were concerned. They're absolutely not even on their radar. They blind tasted them and they went for theirs. And hilariously, someone who was attending Stephen Spoirier's wine school at the time witnessed this. just so happened to be a journalist for Time magazine, wrote it up as The Judgment of Paris, and the rest is history. The ramifications of this were enormous, and obviously California wine sales skyrocketed, gave them absolute credence and license to fucking walk the walk, as well as talk the talk. And this opened up pathways for Australia and New Zealand and other parts of the New World. Suddenly, France wasn't everything. Unbelievable scenes, Jeff. Now, the French didn't go down without a fight, and they basically resorted to sort of shitty tactics and just said, well, look, obviously this is going to be better because, you know, California wine ripens early, so yeah, check back in 10 years and we'll see which one's better. Stephen Soirier did that exact same thing 10 years later, and they won again. So that was 40 years ago, and, you know, I'm sure that there are people in California who now turn their nose up at emerging wine regions and you know best practices and have become the snobs themselves, and that's a really common thing that happens in wine. You know, it makes snobs of us all, and to a certain extent it's kind of happened already in the 2005 film Sideways. The movie itself is about a struggling writer and a failed actor who go on a sort of stag weekend in the Napa Valley. The struggling writer is also a wine snob, and halfway through the film, he says this.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
That one line is the only reference to Merlot in the entire film. Yet, that one line had a profound effect on sales of Merlot. It also had a very positive effect on sales of Pinot Noir, because the struggling writer is, you know, obsessed with Pinot Noir. But that line alone literally cost people's livelihoods. Not even joking. That is how stupid people are when it comes to wine. Go back and watch the movie. He is a struggling writer and a wine snob. Honestly, he's like a Tory and a fucking cyclist away from cunt bingo. Paul Giamatti was playing a dick, okay? Anyone who says,
no, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
Is a dick. Watch the film again, you'll see that the character is a dick. About 5 minutes after this part, he fucking calls up his ex-wife and has his literal lowest point. Yeah? Guys, it's a movie. It's the sort of thing a dick would say. That's why it was written down. The writer didn't fucking have a hate campaign against Merlot. He just thought that that was the sort of stupid thing a wine snob would say. And you not buying Merlot because of that means you're stupid. It's like when people talk about The Sopranos and like in some sort of like, Tony Soprano's such a don. Nah, you've missed the point. He's literally disgusting. Episodes in the history of wine like The Sideways Effect and The Judgment of Paris highlight one very, very simple rule. No one, and I literally mean no one, in wine knows what they're talking about. So just enjoy it. Cheers.
Drink some wine, do-do-do-do-do-do. Drink some wine, do-do-do-do-do-do. Drink some wine, do-do-do-do-do-do. Drink some wine. Post online, do-do-do-do-do-do. Post online, do-do-do-do-do. Post online, do-do-do-do-do. Post online. Text your ex, do-do-do-do-do. Text your ex, do-do-do-do-do. Text your ex, do-do-do-do. Hey, text your ex. Phone your ex, do-do-do-do-do. Phone your ex, do-do-do-do-do. Phone your ex, do-do-do-do. Oh, phone your ex. Cry alone, do-do-do-do-do. Cry alone, do-do-do-do-do. Cry alone. Do cry alone. Shit yourself, do-do-do-do-do. Shit yourself, do-do-do-do-do. Shit yourself, do-do-do-do-do. Shit yourself.